Now, 160 odd first-timers in a 225-member house. Get us more as to what are the other highlights of this new government.
Very good afternoon to you, Preeti, as well as to all our viewers across the world. Yes, you see, this time around, it has been a first of sorts in several manners in Sri Lanka this time around. We witnessed during the parliamentary elections, NPP secured a super majority of 159 parliamentarians out of 225. The total strength being 225, two-third majority plus was secured by the National People's Power. This is something which has been unprecedented because no other party or alliance has so far achieved such a huge majority. And it is also notable that NPP had only 3 parliamentarians in the previous house. And this means that several number of parliamentarians this time around are first timers. In fact, you're absolutely right. More than 160, including several from the other parties as well, are new time, first time parliamentarians. They are in the parliament for the first time ever. Now, the parliament has decided that there will be a kind of a session which will be held for all these first-time parliamentarians because they need to be aware of the parliamentary procedures. Now, this is something which is very important for all the members, not just the new members, in fact, for the other members as well, because several new procedures have been incorporated during the last 2 years of Parliament's existence. Apart from this, yes, this time around it has been decided that the speaker will be Ashoka Ranwala. He's a NPP parliamentarian. He has served he has been elected from Gampaha electoral district. And in addition to that, he has been there in local government as well as the provincial government. He holds a PhD. And in addition to that, it's also the same thing with regard to the SJB's leader, that Sajid Premadasa has been recognized as the opposition leader, Preeti.
All right. Also, when we talk of the priorities for the government, then the new government did talk of austerity measures, did talk of, these measures, but then put all this together. Ahmed, help us understand what are the challenges for the new government ahead, given the way the Herculean task faced by the new administration will be to bring the economy back on track after the economic turmoil which we saw in 2022.
Of course, Preeti, you see, 2022 was a very bad year for Sri Lanka. It was at the time of 2022, it was the peak of the economic crisis which Sri Lanka has been going through. However, it's also important that at that time, the then President Ranil Wickremesinghe and his government had entered into several discussions with the IMF as well as several other international organizations with huge support from India. India was the first creditor nation to come forward with the financing assurances, and they secured an IMF deal worth $2.9 billion. Now, there had been talks of renegotiation of the IMF agreement because this is something which had put several conditions on the Sri Lankan government with regard to the austerity measures. There were measures like increasing income tax levels, personal income tax levels, as well as adding VAT on almost every item that is available in Sri Lankan markets. Not just this, even cost-reflective strategies were adopted, increasing electricity tariffs as well as fuel prices. Now, this is something which NPP had been talking about during the electoral campaign, and they had said that they will ease and they will relax these austerity measures. They will also, they had talked about renegotiating the IMF agreement as well. However, today's policy statement made by the president has made everything clear with regard to what his government strategies will be. They have said that they want the country back on track as early as possible. And they have said that there's not going to be any question of renegotiation of the IMF agreement. However, they will find ways to make things easier for the common man by relaxing certain austerity measures. And they will be working out towards finding alternate methods to generate revenue for the government. Please.
All right, setting ahead the priorities of the new government, Dissanayake talked of how, Sri Lanka will witness a strengthened rule of law from here on. He also talked of justice for controversial crimes. He also talked of efficient public service that will be provided to the citizens. What are the other key highlights of the policy statement that was made by the leader of the new government?
Preeti, you see, President Dissanayake made several, references towards the previous governments and the previous regimes. One of the most important things that was charged at the previous regimes was the charge of corruption. And this is something which he has been open with regard to during his electoral campaigns as well as even today during the presentation of the policy statement. he has said that past unresolved crimes, they will be answers will be found for them. And he has also talked that in the light of public, the importance and in the respect of the government which has existed earlier and the public trust, this will be efforts will be made to restore this. While saying this, he also mentioned that national unity and integrity is something very, very important for the island nation of Sri Lanka. And he has said that a country, in fact, if we are talking about Sri Lanka, we are aware that ethnic issues had been a major contest with regard to the LTT conflict, and thereafter there was also a charge that certain political groups had been having racist kind of political measures. This he mentioned that this island should not witness racist politics or
Yes.
religious extremism in any manner. And he said he called for unity of the entire Sri Lankan island. And this is something which is very important for the history of the island nation, which has gone through decades of conflict, especially in the 80s and 90s
Right.
decades, as we have seen. Preeti.
All right, Ahmed, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details.